Like, it demolished my left ear when we landed. But okay. Seems like people have arrived, so let's just get started. I don't even know where I put my screen that has... There we go. Okay. So yeah, I'll do my best to explain the basics of what's going on. It won't be too in-depth, but I'll explain some basics. And some of it happens a bit too fast for me to say in real time, but I'll try to get to it all. So, basically immediately, we're going to diverge from the RTA route, and the TAS is going to airwalk, fly all the way back up King's Pass, back where it came from, and go to Howling Cliffs. And this is just to get dash immediately. The RTA route doesn't do this because RTA cannot do those airwalk jumps. Theoretically, you could at this point, but it'd be like mashing 13 frames per second, or 13 times a second or something. And then, as you can see, we do some fucking sweet super slides to get through Howling Cliffs. Yeah, and there will be a couple more sweet super slides. They're really front heavy. There's like a ton of super slides right at the start of the TAS, and then they lighten up a bit, but they start off really sweet. And then we're already at the Hornet fight. There's nothing too crazy about the fight other than the fact that it can just do it perfectly. But like, we don't get Hornet stuck in the ground or anything, because that turned out to actually be slower. There's no special tactics other than just whacking her really fast. And we don't have mental speed or anything yet, obviously, so just the nail. And then we grab dash and we quit out on the first frame that the game actually recognizes we have it. And if you quit out any earlier than that, then you would get back to King's Pass and you wouldn't actually have dash. And then we're gonna still not go through King's Pass, because it is faster to go back up to Howling Cliffs. Come back up this way, and super slide off this Venge Fly to get to Dirtmouth. And then dash storage across Dirtmouth. Oh. And now we're on our way to get Mantis Claw. So this is the first thing that the RTA route does, but we're going to grab it second because we can get dash immediately. And we don't have to worry about Cornifer. The RTA route would have to find some way to open Cornifer's shop there. TAS does not care at all. And we're in Fungal. And you'll notice that now that I have dash, any of these rooms that I do inbounds, you'll notice I'm kind of starting them a bit farther in than it looks like I should be. And that's just because I'm doing the out-of-bounds inputs, except instead of going out-of-bounds, I just use it to dash earlier than you normally can. And so when the room fades in, I've already started my movement into the room. So that's why I'm like starting in a little bit farther into the room than you would normally see. Also, I totally glossed over it, but I did a load warp back there. That's what that weird acid dunk was. Sorry, there's a lot going on. And then just some more airwalks to collect Claw quickly. But we don't actually collect Claw, we just store the interaction. Because it is faster to use the interaction over here. And then I only collect Claw now. And some more super slides. And then we just need to quickly grab Dash Master. And the Dash Master menuing that you're about to see to equip Dash Master is honestly one of my favorite parts of the TAS. Because, like, you don't have to wait until the curse is actually on Dash Master. You can just put in all the right inputs and then click A before the curse is actually there, and it works. And so you can just do that instantaneous menuing, and it's sweet. Gonna get in one more super slide. This might be the last super slide in the run. I can't remember if there's another one. That might be the last one. once you get dash and claw, your movement options start to be a bit better, and super slides become less worth it unless they're really large. And then we're just going to go out of bounds here to avoid Gruzmother and get to Blue Lake, where we will see our first instance of wall cling storage. And if your audio is loud, I would suggest turning it down a little bit, because the audio does get a bit obnoxious with wall cling storage. Not right here, but in the next set of it will. So here. And that sound is caused by unclinging and reclinging the wall every frame, which just speeds you up a tiny bit, and it causes that noise. It's not too bad if your volume's not loud, but if you have really high volume, then it can mess with your ears a little bit. And you may have noticed we were also doing some nail swings into the walls. Those give you super slide speed, if you're in wall cling storage state. But you fall faster, so you can't just keep them going for the whole way, or else you won't make it across the lake. And you need to make it across the lake, because the water landing animation on this patch is really, really long and slow. Okay, and then here, disclaimer, this is not what the screen would look like. You'll notice the white screen went away very abruptly there. That's because if I didn't get rid of the white screen with a mod, the rest of this entire run would be a white screen. So this is modded so that you can actually see what's happening. This would be a full white screen if it was unmodded for the rest of the entire run. And so like this will look weird, because normally there would be a white screen here, but I had to make compromises to make it watchable. And then we actually do seer skips so fast here that we just stay invisible, which is great. Apparently that's a thing. I didn't know that was a thing until I tasked it. And then we have to use wall cling storage to get into crypts here. Normally you do a slow fall float, but you can just use wall cling storage. I skipped VS not because you can just airwalk, because VS is still needed, but just because there's an RTA strat that's almost faster where you don't get VS. Well, I'll come back to that. We're about to start a room dupe. This is also RTA viable-ish, but it only saves like 2 seconds and there's RNG, so you don't normally start a room dupe here. The TAS is going to start this room dupe immediately, and it's going to take this all the way to Lurian. And to get back to the VS skipping, it's almost faster RTA to just get Shade Soul and skip VS, but there's a couple rooms that make it slower, this being one of them, this out-of-bounds climb that it's doing right now. And the Shade Soul room being the other one, and TAS can do both of those rooms fast even without VS, so it just skips VS but it still gets Shade Soul. We're just collecting the Watcher Knight's chest here in the dark. And then we're going to be in a room duped Lurian room. Televator up and grab Lurian. And now we're visible again, so that's something. Also, white screens are back. I left in the white screens where I could, but there are like a few points where it'll look off because I had to remove white screens. But I left them in where I could just because it looks a bit nicer in my opinion with them. And then, coming up in a few rooms, when I get to Shade Soul, a lot of things are going to happen very quickly, and I'm not going to be able to explain them in time. Oh, okay. I don't have a cheat on there to not get hit by that guy. It's just you go through him so fast that the room hasn't loaded properly yet, and so you don't take damage yet. But yeah, I'll try my best to explain all this Shade Soul stuff happens. I'll explain it after it happens, because it's too fast for me to explain it in real time. Or I'll try my best, but... So, first, I'm gonna get elevator storage, which we can do very fast as a TAS. And then we're gonna use it to clip through this wall and get up here, grab Shade Soul, store it. Break that wall for later. Dash over here to set our hazard respawn location. Call the elevator again. Use the elevator to get an early control. And then we're gonna wrong warp up to the top right of Soul Sanctum. And then chain that wrong warp to be to the left of Cornifer. And then now we're in a room dupe. And on our way to Archives. Okay, you know what? That was an alright explanation in real time. The only thing that I didn't really get in as much detail as I wanted was was that the elevator, the initial elevator storage, RTA has to like send the elevator up, send it down, send it up, send it down in order to do that. And the TAS can just do the one up, down, and it like gets it fast enough. It's really sweet. It saves a ton of time. And also you'll notice the camera is like slightly zoomed out now. That'll stay for a while. And that's just because of the wrong warp we did. And this is all just room dupe. Unfortunately, there's not much to say just because it's all happening off screen, really. But I will make an explanation video in the future. And that will show all this movement, what it actually looks like. And so then I'll be able to explain it better. It is time, Glonky. You're about halfway through already. but yes. And now we're in Archives. For one of my favorite rooms, actually. Because of this. Which I was not the first person to TAS a version of this. Like, I made this version, but other people had done this Umu kill before me. But it still impresses me to look at. I always think that this thing is gonna crash into something, even though I TAS'd it and I know it doesn't. So we just wait for Quirrell, and then the moment Umu opens, we explode him. And that's the end of the fight. Yeah, I'll put it on YouTube later, so anybody who missed any part of it can see it there. And then we just get up to Monoma. And we're gonna get Float here. We don't need it to exit Archives, but it is faster. So, get Float. Grab Monoma. They put the white version on YouTube too. I will, in the explanation video, I will have like multiple screens of like camera following the knight so you can see everything, what the game actually looks like without the white screens, like where the camera actually is, and then just for the memes, I'll put on the what the game actually looks like, which will just be a pure white screen from Dreamnail onwards. But it'll be there in some form on YouTube, yes. But the explanation video won't be ready for like a long time, probably. I'm gonna try and like actually work fairly hard on it. So don't expect it anytime soon. And this is a fairly normal Archives exit, except RTA would be terrified of hitting all those Umas. And we do need to do a bit of soul collection on our way out for killing the Devout in Beast Den when we get there. So we do slow down a little bit in this room to Dreamnail this guy. To get a bit more soul. It saves time later. And then we're going to start the room dupe. First, we're going to do a wrong warp here. Which skips a little bit of the room dupe. And then, now, after we've hit this load zone, we're back like in line with the normal RTA room dupe. Except faster. This room's fun for the audio. We just hear that buzzing get closer until you hit the load zone. And you get to see an inbounds room here. Those are rare. And then in a second we're gonna make it to Deep Nest, where we will do a second wrong warp. Where you'll see right here, I will all of a sudden be at the bottom of that first Deep Nest room. In a second. Right there. Oh, maybe, yeah, there it is. and then we continue through Deep Nest. That's the glimpse of the night you get. and then you won't see him again for a while. Here I just get float, and there's a couple upward steep nest rooms. And then, after these two upwards rooms, which you won't be able to see, then we will end up in Beaston. And this is Distant Village, as everyone remembers it. And then Beaston. Which, of course, we do not sit on the bench. And we just get the rest of the geo we needed from that devote, and then we're at Hera. And then this movement out of Beaston is another one of my favorite pieces of movement to watch. It was a pain to TAS, but watching it is very fun. And we just make our way back to Dirtmouth. Yeah, the Beaston exit is like one of my favorite parts to look at. And the world's fastest insta-up. Airwalk there, slightly faster than waiting for the elevator. And one last walkling storage. And then we've entered the Black Egg Temple. And then we're just gonna dash storage across. I like that the knight, like, politely walks, but at the same speed when you reach the bench area. Because you're supposed to go slower, so it changes your animation. But you're in a dash storage, so it doesn't actually go slower. Like, he just changes his animation to the walking one to stay the exact same speed. The dash storage is not faster than the C-dash, but we do not have C-dash, so... It's way faster than going to get C-dash just for that room. And then here, you'll notice that I dash over the Hollow Knight when he does the dashes under me. And that's to get triples. So normally you just go for doubles on the Hollow Knight dashes, but if you go far enough back, you can actually triple them. And so that's what I'm doing there. And just using inventory there to skip the screen. And of course, just casually walking through that attack. No care at all. And that's it. That's the TAS. And so, the TAS does let the credits play, and this cutscene. But the final time for this TAS was in the loadless time that speedruns use is 12 minutes 49 seconds and 10, or I guess 100 milliseconds. So 12:49.1 was the final time for this TAS. So that's like 7 minutes faster than the world record, approximately. About half of that time save is due to the route changes at the beginning. So from getting dash first instead of walking, or instead of wall jump first. Dash first saves a few minutes, and skipping VS saves almost a minute. And then the rest of that time save is from strats like the earlier room dupe in City of Tears and the wrong warps. RTA doesn't do any wrong warps, it just does the basic room dupes. And the Umu fight obviously saves a fair amount of time. And so, like, those are the main strats that the TAS uses that saves extra time, is the route changes, the wrong warps, and the Umu fight. And then on top of that, obviously just perfect execution. And so the TAS can, during the room dupes, RTA does safe strats for basically every room, because any small mess up kills your run. But TAS obviously can just full risk everything. And so it doesn't do any slow falls, it just dashes into the load zones, it doesn't do anything safe. And so, especially during room dupes, the TAS saves just a ton of time on pure execution. And so yeah, it ends up about 7 minutes faster than world record, which is pretty crazy. And I think the end time, we'll see after the credits, but I think the end time, according to the game timer, is 10 minutes. But the game timer isn't very reliable, so I don't know how accurate that is, but I think it's around 10 minutes. But yeah, 12:49 in the real timer. And I don't know what the RTA time is. I didn't bother calculating that, but it's around 18 minutes. I find any RTA viable strats? Not really. Most of the new strats that this TAS uses are... yeah, 1004. But most of the new strats that this TAS uses are strats that had already been theorized for RTA but just weren't viable. So like, rather than finding new strats, I was just able to use old strats that weren't able to be used in RTA runs. The closest thing to a new RTA strat would be the airwalk stuff, just at the very beginning. You wouldn't use airwalk as part of your normal movement RTA, but if you really, really worked on your mashing, it's like 13 presses a second or something to make it RTA viable. Where if you use minimum height jumps, you don't have the restriction of frame perfect jumps during airwalk. And so if you can mash like 13 frames or 13 times a second, then you can do the airwalk jumps at the start, and you would be able to do the dash first route. So even if you used bad float for King's Pass and then switched to using the airwalk just for the Howling Cliffs jump, which is smaller, you could save like a minute or so by doing that route if you can mash that well. Yeah, but yeah, it would be like kind of crazy. It's beyond my mashing abilities for sure. I can mash like 8 times a second or something maximum, not 13. So yeah, but that's really it. Most of the strats that the TAS uses just aren't RTA viable. Like the wrong warps just really aren't. The Soul Sanctum one, absolutely not. You could maybe try going for the first one at the start of the Hera dupe, maybe. And honestly, maybe even the second one that happens in the middle of the Hera dupe. So those are the only 2 strats that like maybe you could transfer into RTA that weren't already in RTA, but it would be tough. You'd have to be really going for like you'd be going for like a sub 18 at that point or something stupid. But yeah, that's all. Like I'm happy to answer any questions that people have, but that's the whole TAS. It's a short video.